So, does any of you run the Grandma's Marathon? Duluth, Mean, or Florida? Yeah, sure, you'll bet you there. Well, that's in my home state of Minnesota, and it's like, Duluth is like a second hometown to me. I ran my very first one in 1981, so 32 years ago. And I remember the race is always on Saturday there. So Thursday, I'd done my last little run before I was going to leave. I was living around the Twin Cities at the time. And I grabbed my bags and I threw them in my vehicle, and I take off out of the Twin Cities for Duluth. And all I can think about is the race. It's all I can think about. So I thought, gosh, Dick, you got to get your mind off the race coming up. And I grabbed the mail out of the post box before I took off, and I looked over, and in my pile of magazine was it was called Track and Field News. It's a running magazine. I thought, well, heck, I'll just read that as I'm driving to Duluth. So I grabbed the magazine, and I just flipped it open, not to any particular page, but when it opened up, big, bold black headlines read, John Graham of England runs 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 45 seconds at the Rotterdam Marathon. Now back then, that was like one of the top 5 marathon times ever run in the world. So I'm reading this article, I'm thinking, holy cow, that's amazing. And then I thought, okay, Dick, you better keep your mind and eyes on the road to get to Duluth safely. So I'm going along, not really paying attention to where I'm at, when the first mile marker that I see is between Moose Lake and Willow River, Minnesota, and it's mile marker number 209. And I'm thinking, man, I open this magazine, and I'm always looking for positive things to enhance my day, whether it be running or just life in general. And I'm thinking, wait, gosh, I open this magazine, this 209 pops out at me. First mile marker I see is mile marker number 209, and I'm thinking, am I going to run a 2 hour, 9 minute marathon on Saturday? Now my best going into that was, I was fortunate to have won the London Marathon a couple of months earlier. I ran 2:11:48, so basically 2:12. I think, well, 2:12, 2:09, that's only 3 minutes. Well, 3 minutes, so at that end of the scale, is like night and day. So I tried not to think about it. So I finally pull into the Radisson Hotel in downtown Duluth at 2 o'clock that Thursday afternoon. I grab my bags, I walk into the area there, and I said, do you have a room for Dick Beardsley? Oh yeah, you bet, Mr. Beardsley. She walked in behind, and she came out with a packet of stuff and my keys, and she says, good luck on Saturday. I said, great. So I grabbed my bags and the key, and I walked around. The elevator doors were wide open. Thank goodness. I got onto the elevators, the door shut, and I thought, gosh, I guess I better see what room I'm in. So I looked at my key, and I started jumping up and down like a kid that just got a brand new train set at Christmas, hollering and screaming. What room do you think I had? 209. Room 209. Not even close. But I was in room 902, and backwards, that's 209. So my sick little brain, I didn't tell anybody this, but in my mind, there was no doubt. I didn't know if I'd win the race, but I knew I was going to run a 209 marathon. And the next day, it was a perfect race, and perfect day to race. Weather was excellent, great runners, and I had somebody there for the first 19, 20 miles to run with. And then I was kind of on my own, but with about 2.5, 3 miles to go, I got one of the most dreaded things we all hate, right there, the stitch. Yeah, I can see people going, reading their lips, the stitch. Well, I got this stitch, and I could not get it to go away. And I'm doing everything I can. I'm rubbing it, I'm grunting like a grizzly bear, I'm blowing air through pursed lips, nothing's helping. But I knew this, I knew if I could get back to that Radisson Hotel where the 25-mile mark was, I knew I could suck it up enough to go 1 more mile. Well, unfortunately, Duluth sits right on Lake Superior, and the fog was rolling in, so I couldn't see a half a block in front of me. So I'm piercing my eyes through the fog, trying to see the tallest building in Duluth, Minnesota, the Radisson Hotel. I can't see it. The stitch is getting worse and worse. I'm thinking, man, the whole field's going to be flying by me pretty soon. Well, finally, out of the fog, I see what I think is the Radisson. So I go a little further, and sure enough, now I can see the Radisson. Now I can actually see the corner. And I'm thinking, okay, Richard, just get to that corner, and you got 1 mile to go, and nothing's going to stop you then. So now I can actually see the corner, but what else I see is a little kid playing in the middle of the road with his little Tonka toy truck. I'm thinking, surely Mom and Dad are gonna get the little tyke out of my way. I'm about 50 yards now from the little kid, and he's still sitting there playing. Now I'm down to about 40. So I start yelling, the kid, get the kid out of the way. Nothing happens. Now I'm down to 30 yards, pretty soon 20. And now I'm looking for options. What am I gonna do here? All of a sudden, the little guy, he reaches down, he picks up his Tonka toy, he turns, and he starts trucking across the road. He gets about halfway across when he stops, looks at me, and he freezes. At this point now, I'm 10 meters from the little kid. It's me and the little kid, and now I'm looking, okay, what do I do here? If I go to the right, I can't do that, I'll run into oncoming traffic. If I go to the left, can't do that, I'm gonna run into the crowd and that big lamppost on the corner, or do I take the kid out? At that point, my only option was to take the kid out. And I hit the little guy, he went flying off into the crowd. I look back and he's crying, and I'm thinking, well, that's good, it means he's still breathing anyhow. The best part of it though, it made my stitch go away. Now you gotta promise me tomorrow if you're out there and you get a stitch, you don't pick out some little kid on the side of the road and whack into him. But it worked for me, and I got my stitch to go away, I got my stride back, and when I crossed the finish line, not only was I was very fortunate to win that day, but the clock stopped at 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 36 seconds. Now, would I have run that 2:09 if I had looked for those positive things that day? More than likely, yes, but anything that you can do between now and tomorrow morning at the start of that race to relax you, the better you're gonna run. So think about that and have a great race tomorrow, right, Bart? All right, Bart, my buddy Bart.